Welcome back inside Connect the Game. It's episode 4, and I told you we would talk about a few different sports at some point, and now at episode 4, we get a chance to do that. I'm your host, Tim Crowley, now joined by today's guest, and a great one to have on the show. Former guard for Hofstra women's basketball, Sorelle Ineza, now working with the Athletic Communications Department of the NCAA. Sorelle, it's so great to talk to you again, and thanks for coming on.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We were just joking off air, for as many games as viewers that I got to call during, our time at Hofstra. I think this is the first interview we've done. No preview show interview ever, no pregame. Like this is the first time. This is the first time we rock and roll.
No, literally, that's true. No, that's true. If I remind it, well, yeah, that's actually our first one.
Well, it's a good one to talk about, and we have plenty to talk about. We can just dive right in. Again, your whole life has really revolved around basketball and has made you the person you are today. What was that upbringing like for you, and when did you know that you wanted basketball to be, this part of your life for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, so it's so crazy because at first I started playing soccer because my dad played soccer back in Burundi in Africa, where I'm from. And then I started playing soccer and I was like, okay, I do like it, but I want to try something new. And then I started playing basketball because my mom played basketball back home as well. And when I started playing basketball, I just fell in love with the game, like like literally fell in love with the game. And I was kind of a shy kid when I was younger. But when I started playing basketball, I just started like, discovering myself. I started to learn how to communicate with different people from different backgrounds, like, how to own my voice. And like, I was actually good at it too. So that kind of helped. And then I think I was around like 13 years old. My coach was like, Sorelle, you're really good at this. I think you should take this seriously. And I was like, what do you mean by that? I just want to have fun. And she was like, no, like you can go to college and get your education paid for. You could like, take this to the next level. And I was like, okay. So then we had conversations and then, started working out like more and more and more. And just really just made it a goal of mine to go to college for free, yes. And also just, you know, play Division I basketball, which always been a dream of mine. So yeah.
I love that, there's some coaches that have to give you that extra push of confidence. It's like, hey, you're really, I don't think you realize this, like what you're doing. Was
Yeah.
there a game for you after that or a moment that for you validated everything that she told you?
Yeah. Um, so she's coached me like for a while. Her name is Isabelle Chiasson. And I think after we had that conversation, maybe like a year later, she was still my coach. And I hit I think with how many? I think 10 threes in a game. And then she was like, see, like that's what it takes. Like you can actually make it to the next level. You have to dream big. And I was like, okay, like, and then even like my parents, being from Africa and then we moved to Canada, going to college in the US was never an option. Like nobody really, I didn't heard about it before. So I was like, how am I supposed to make that happen? Obviously, like I've read stories and like saw girls from the US like going to college, getting scholarships. I was like, how can I make this happen while being from Canada? And then, she just believed in me and pushed me. And my parents started believing as well when I got my first offer. And I was like, which was from Hofstra, actually. My parents were like, whoa, this is actually happening. So everybody just started believing. And after that game, I was like, yeah, let's do it.
That was always one of the most fascinating parts about, telling your story on the broadcast is what an incredible background, that you've had to get to this point, come to school in the US and play college basketball at a D1 level. You mentioned now that Hofstra was the first offer you had. What made that decision, to come play at Hofstra the right one for you?
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that question because there was just something different from Hofstra. It might sound really cliche, but as soon as I stepped foot on campus, I just felt like I was home. And I probably said this in all my interviews when I was at Hofstra, but it's so true. Like the feeling, like everybody was just so welcoming and loving and like wanted to know where I'm from, like how can we help you? Like how was your day? Like just saying hi to my parents. And even on my visit, like my parents didn't really speak English like that, but they felt like they belonged, which really, really spoke to me. And the past coaching staff that was there before, Coach Krista Kilburn, she visited me home. Like she drove from Hofstra to Canada, came to my home, and met my parents, met my grandma, met my sisters, And that really meant a lot to me and my family. And even till this day, my grandma still talks about her, asks how she's doing and everything. And even when the coaching changed, right? With Coach Santos coming in my freshman year, I was just like, I still felt like I was home and I belonged because she called me and she made sure like, hey, I know like you didn't sign up for me, like you didn't sign up for this, but I still want you to be here and I care about you and so we can make, you know, just come here and experience. If you don't like it, you can always feel free to leave. But she really took the time to call me and make sure that hey, you're gonna be taken care of, even when you come with us. So it was just a feeling, and it was real, because I had a great time at Hofstra, great career, and even after graduating, it's still home for me. So yeah.
I think I love that you brought that up because it happens probably more than we talk about or normalize. But what is it like to be recruited by one staff and then have to have that conversation with another and say, all right, is this still where I want to be? Do you guys still have a spot for me? Do I like your system? Is that an interesting conversation? Was it nerve-wracking at times, or was this okay? I'm ready for Hofstra no matter what.
Yeah, at first I was scared. Because I was what, 19 years old. I had signed up for a whole different coaching staff. I was like excited to get there and like, get to meet them and my teammates as well. And then I felt like my world kind of shifted. And I was like, well, now it's literally the unknown. I'm already not from there. I'm gonna be by myself. I don't know who I'm gonna be coached by, but having that conversation with Coach Santos, but also with the assistant coaches really helped me and solidified my choice that okay, I'm just gonna give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, then I can always, transfer. But as soon as I got there once again, I was like, oh yeah, I'm set. Like I'm not leaving. So yeah, it was a good conversations, really needed to have those. But I feel like when your coaches are also really upfront with you and honest with you, and Coach Nancy was really like real with me. She was like, it's my first time being a head coach as well. Like, we're gonna do this together. And just hearing those words really um just solidified the fact that okay, yes, I want to be coached by her because she was able to be vulnerable with me and be real with me from the jump, even if she didn't recruit me. And she always treated me like one of her own. Like never. I never felt like I didn't belong just because she didn't recruit me. And I was the only one actually on the team that hadn't been recruited by her, but I always felt like I belonged. And I appreciate her for that.
Stories like that are important, and I feel like for you are at the roots of what made your Hofstra life special. Between some really cool assistant coaches, obviously incredible teammates over the years, and some really talented ones at that. That created some special memories. How much were the people around you really at the heart of what made Hofstra special for you, both on and off the court?
Yeah. Oh my God, they were everything. And every time I speak about Hofstra, it's really about the people because the people really make the place. And I'm to like on and off the court, I was supported from day one. Like already not being from the US, like my coaches were there for me. I had to sounds crazy, but I had to open a whole new bank account in the US. I didn't know how, but Coach C really like took the time to go with me. I had to buy a whole new phone. They drove me to the, Apple store to get a new phone, like open a bank account. Taught me I didn't really know how to speak English, made sure that I was taken care of in that aspect as well. So um, the people really made the difference. Obviously I played basketball, but off the court, I knew I was interested in sports communication. So having Stephen Gorchov and Rachel being my mentors really, really helped me a lot. We spent a lot of time together trying to figure out like what do you want to do after basketball? Like what do you want to touch on? Like what should I do? Like the type of internships I should touch on. Like we had real conversations. And then obviously Dan was a big part of it too. I wanted to do broadcasting. I just wanted to try it. And he was like, well, let's just come on with us. And I was like, okay. And then Stephen made that happen too for me. So really, the people really made the difference. Even my professors, like till this day, I still talk to them. Every time I go back to Hofstra, I make sure to just see them, talk to them, have a meeting with them, just to check in. And my friends, my teammates made the whole difference. Like I really felt like Hofstra like was my second family, being away from home, but still having my teammates and my coaches, mentors, Even Rick Cole like checked up on me, making sure I was good. Like it was the people like they made the difference. Yeah, it was really good.
We are 1000% going to talk about your broadcast cameos in a little bit, but obviously you were known, for what was on the court, and I know that it was a career at Hofstra that wasn't always linear. You had the year you battled the injury, you've come back and made some big shots. I'm sure a few of mine that we'll talk about in a few minutes will overlap, but do you have a few favorite games from your career at Hofstra?
Few favorite. I have a lot of them, but I have to be honest, my the buzzer beater was my favorite. I think is that the game you called?
Yeah, so we're gonna go into that. We can dive in. I believe it was against Loyola.
Yeah.
It was November of 21. Do you want to walk me through the play?
Oh my God. Do I even remember the play? So I think the ball was supposed to go to JK. And I was like on the other side in the corner. And when she drove, the goal was the purpose was for her to get to the basket, just a straight line drive from on the right side of the court. Yeah. And if she couldn't finish, I was in the corner so she could like dish it to me. But obviously they cut the baseline because they knew that was gonna be our first option. She reversed the ball, and then I was just open. I just kept yelling for the ball, like ball, ball, ball. Pass it to me, and I just shot it. Literally. That's all I remember. When it went in, I was like, oh my God. So yeah.
My first fear was I went to go like make the call and I couldn't tell from our vantage point if you were in front of the line, if it was a three. I was like
Yeah.
trying to get like an angle. I'm like, all right, don't yell like if it's a three if you don't know. And but again, like that was like still coming out of COVID too. So like there weren't a ton of people there, but like there was some crowd juice for that. And
Yeah.
then a year later, you go from making the winning shot to setting it up against Towson and Brandy making the game-winning shot, which was a three this time,
Yeah.
on, like one healthy leg too. And you had to run the length of the floor for that. I don't remember if you guys had a timeout or not. Do you remember that play too?
I don't remember if we had a timeout. No, actually, I don't think we had a timeout. I remember Coach Santos. We were on the free throw line. Towson was shooting free throws. I looked at her, because I always looked at her. I don't know why. She was like, "Get the ball and go." I was like, "Okay, so we're not calling for any timeouts, so we don't have any timeouts left." I think Aloe took the ball out. She passed it to me. I just tried my hardest to go full speed and try to go to the basket. And then I was like, I know we don't need a three right now. So I could just go for a two, whatever, or get fouled to go to free throw line. But then I heard Brandy. She was like, so, 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 so. And that's her favorite spot. So I just knew she was going to be there. So I stopped, boom. And she made those in practice like every day. So I knew that was her sweet spot. So I was like, oh yeah, we got this.
Just one of like the favorite players to watch. Like as soon as she got to campus, I remember the
Yeah.
season opener going down to Rutgers, and she completely took over the second half.
Yes.
I know Rutgers came back and won that game, but you guys took control for a lot of that half against a really good, against a Big Ten team. But
Yeah.
that shot, it was like as it was getting off, I think you were down two, and kind of watching this, like, all right, they're getting up the court, and then you get doubled. You find the passing lane, and
Yeah.
as that ball is going in, all I'm thinking of is like, all right, I kind of liked the buzzer beater call from last year, but I know it wasn't good enough. So now it's like, all right, I got to make sure this is good. And then seeing the ball go in, when Brandon made the shot and is like literally hobbling off the court, I'm like, I'm making the call, but I'm like, that like did just happen, did it? Like, like literally in the blink of an eye, especially like you talked about, like those plays where there's not a timeout, the play happens so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, what a moment. And for you to be involved in two of those, like those are
Yeah.
plays that you get to look back on as like, career highlights when you get to tell, your kids someday or everybody who gets asked about your career.
Yeah, definitely. And just like that game, we were facing so much adversity. Like Brandy got injured early in the game. Like we were like, I was exhausted. I don't think I subbed out once. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this." And like we were just like, but we kept pushing. We really fought like for that win, and we really felt good to get that win, especially at home, against Towson, which was they were a really good team. So that was really good.
There's one more. I know those are the two that always get talked about. This one, I don't think we still have the video of, but it was from the tournament at Drexel. and like the which I forget like what the seeds were, but you guys had UNCW. You made the go ahead three with like a minute left, and I
Yeah.
felt bad because I was like, wow, this is gonna be like a great call for RHU, and social's gonna be great. We can promote the team, and it was like the worst like internet connection we've ever had. Like you could barely hear me like say the shot goes in. But that was a big one too. Like you worked to the wing and nail another big shot to keep you guys alive in Philly.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that game, yeah. So before I made that shot, I had took another a three before that
Right.
shot, and I was like, oof, maybe I shouldn't take that one. So when I missed that one, I was like, oof. And then Shawnee came right back to me, and I was like, well, I have to shoot it. I can't, can't pass this shot. So when I made it, I was like, thank God, because I had just missed the first one before. But yeah, I think another one would be when we beat NCAT in our conference tournament.
Mm.
That was a really good game. Because once again we fought like we really battled for that game. And I think that's when we made history because we made it to the quarterfinals or something like that. So that was really good too.
And like, there's just so many of those. Like, I
Yeah.
know like the regular seasons didn't always go your way, but there was something of like the early rounds of the CA tournaments. Like, all right, you almost like don't want to play this Hofstra team because for what like they get this different level of hot. They go to the quarters every year.
So
Um, you
it's
know,
like,
you had a year with the semis. You beat a WNBA prospect in Kiana Jeter in Towson. Like, it's
uh,
all these little stories from the start of that CAA tournament that just suddenly just you think of more as the career goes on.
yeah, it's so like that's really interesting because I feel like when I was at Hofstra during the season, like we really struggled and like try to find our identity and like like try to figure out how to we're gonna make this work. And we were just always like we faced so much adversity with like injuries and all that stuff. Um, but when came time for conference, I feel like we always played our best basketball because we were like, hey, we got nothing to lose. Like we've seen it all. Like we've been through everything. So now it's literally like win or go home. And yeah, we really just locked in. I don't know what it is, but we always made it happen in a conference tournament.
Obviously, you play in so many of those games. Towards the end of your Hofstra career, you got to come to our side of the media table and see what that was like, which we always enjoyed, warm-ups when we were calling games anyways. You were the first player to always come out, give the media table a fist bump, and go off and do your thing. What did you like about the broadcast opportunity? I know you mentioned him earlier, Dan Savarino, Kevin Dexter, obviously great for the young broadcasters that come through WRHU and throughout Hofstra Athletics. You talk
Yeah.
about Stephen Gorchov making that happen. How did that opportunity come about? Like, did you bring that to them, and what did you enjoy about the chance to call some games?
Yeah. So I think I had already mentioned it to Dan that I wanted to broadcast a game one day, like just one day. But even that, before that, I think my sophomore year, I was like, it would be so cool to broadcast a men's basketball game just to try it, right? And then I had this conversation with Dan, and I think like 3 years later, um, Steven called me and he was like, hey, we're trying this new thing where a men's basketball player get to call like a women's game and then vice versa. And I was like, okay. He was like, would you want to be part of it? I said, yes, duh, want it. So that's how the opportunity came. And then I just really loved it because I understand the game because I played basketball, obviously, but being on the other side of it and just getting to call basketball, like it's a blessing. Like I see the game from a different perspective, obviously. So being able to bring that knowledge and just like talk about the game and like highlight the players and like, it's something that I truly find unique. And yeah, so that's how it happened.
Isn't that a cool like shift too? Because I feel like a lot of times, it feels like it gets talked about in football a lot. Is all right, you can tell this player knows every inch of the game, but like, can they make it digestible for an audience that's going to be people that know the game intently, but also some casual fans and people that are just watching for their family? Like, how did you try to like be able to show? Obviously, you know every inch of what's going on out there. Like, you know the sets, you know like how the offense wants to run. How do what was that like for you trying to like find a way to like communicate that's gonna like play to an audience?
Yeah, I think I just tried to use obviously my knowledge, but also knowing the team. Like I knew the men's basketball team really well because we spent so much time together. Um, and I knew their games, like I knew like how they play, their style, like and everything. So trying to use that to my advantage and tell stories that the audience might not know, but also Kevin and Dan, like they're not with them 24 hours, 24/7. And I was with them in the gym shooting and doing all of that stuff. So I think I remember when I was talking about JC and I was like, you know what's crazy? Like I see JC like practice like the his mid-range jumpers like every day after practice. He does it every day after practice. So being on the other side and getting to see it and he made that shot and like from the left elbow. I think he made like a jumper coming off the screen. I was like, I saw JC practice that shot like 10 times yesterday right after practice. So being able to use those little stories that I can bring to the game was like kind of, helped to my advantage a little bit. So that's what I tried to do. So it was really good. And then when I came back for senior night this past March, and I was just supposed to have like a 5-minute interview with Dan and Kevin throughout the game, whatever. And then I ended up staying for the whole game, so that was really cool. It was nice because now I graduated, but I still know the team because these are still my girls, my sisters. So it was cool. Like now I get to call like my teammates. Like I get to talk about Zai, I got to talk about Emma, Aloe. So that was really nice.
And you did a game at Malloy too. Like, is this something maybe as a side hustle? Like, once you kind of, and again, you have an incredible opportunity with the NCAA right now that we're going to talk about. But is there an interest of, when you have some free time in a few years, trying to do this more regularly?
Yeah, yes, definitely. Because my first game I ever broadcasted was with Dan at Malloy. And ooh, that was a struggle. I was not good. That was not
No
good.
one wants to listen to the first tape ever again. We
Yeah,
burn those.
definitely. But yeah, I could actually see myself do that, like like on the side. Because it's basketball and I want to stay around basketball forever. So that would be really good. Yeah. And even people here at the NCAA, like they were like, you really should do broadcasting, like, because I have like the opportunity to interview people here, so I'm like, they're like, you should do that. You can actually do this. So I was like, oh, okay. So we'll see.
It would be fantastic to see. It would be great to get you back there. You just mentioned it now in your post-Hofstra career, still involved in college athletics on a daily basis, working, athletic communications with the NCAA. How'd that opportunity come back after you graduated, and what's like a day-to-day look like in what you do?
Yeah. So when I was a junior at Hofstra in 2022, I attended the Current Sports Forum here at the national office. So it's like a 4-day forum where you come and like you learn about all the careers in sports and like you get to like hear guest speakers and like connect with different professionals in the industry. And they were talking about the postgraduate internship program. And I connected with the person that who ran it back in the days. And when it came time for me to apply, he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, like, apply for the postgraduate internship program." I was like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." And I always knew I was gonna apply for this. I knew that after Hofstra, I knew I was gonna be a postgraduate intern at the NCAA. That was my goal. So I applied, got it, and now I do communications and branding. So the first 6 months of my internship consisted of everything that has to do with the NCAA convention and our awards programs. So being the main point of contact for our honorees, making sure like logistics, everything is taken care of. And then the now I'm on the last 6 months of my internship, working on the branding team. So all the decor of our championships, signage, working with different creative agencies to like, put the event together. And yeah, so that's what I do. And my day-to-day consists of having meetings, obviously, talking to creative agencies and going through the core decks, making sure that we have everything that we need. Um, and just keep being great. That's what I do.
How how cool is that too? I think a lot of the communications kids really, and when we're nerds in some ways, like lock in on like court design and stuff like that, and how the stadium looks like a national championship game, because so much of that makes the setting of like, wow, this isn't just, a Saturday afternoon game at our home court. Like this is, there's so much going on. There's a different feel to the building. We're in this big stadium, and the
Yeah,
branding, plays so much of the role of like setting that moment for those, for those
yeah,
players.
yeah. And even like the city, like we just came back from Tampa for the women's Final Four. And just like the vibe of the city, because the decor could be really good in the stadium and everything, but the city has to match the vibe as well. So when I got to Tampa and just saw like okay, everything really came together was so surreal. Like I was like, oh my God, like the decor, the colors, like the patterns, like everything really like matched the vibe of the city. So that was really good. And you could feel it too. Like you felt it. You could see it everywhere, like walking in, going to the beach, you could see the signage of Women's Final Four in Tampa. Like it was amazing.
How was that weekend personally for you? You know, being around a national championship game in the and, in the sport and specifically that level that you played for so long, meeting an icon like Don Staley with South Carolina on the court, like so much of that just had to be, dream come true for you.
Yeah, it was the past 2 weeks have been everything I've dreamed of like since I was a kid. Like, making sure like not making not making it to the Elite Eight, like the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, and then going to the Final Four. Like I've always dreamed about that ever since I was a kid. And obviously I wanted to have that experience as a student athlete at Hofstra, but it just didn't happen. But now being on the other side of it and like being able to like plan it and like be a part of it was like I haven't processed it yet. Like I'm still like shocked about like that actually came through. Like my dream actually came true. And then Dawn, oh my God. God. I was like, my team actually framed the picture, our picture.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
the picture for me. So that was really cool. It was really good. They had just won their regional in Birmingham, and I was on the court just watching, the ceremony. And then she came and stood right next to me, and she was like, she just looked at it. She was just looking at watching her players, and then I turned around and I was like, oh my God, Don Stanley just next to me. So then I turned, I was like, hi, my name is Sorelle. And she was like, hi. And then, just introduced myself, said congratulations, and just asked for a picture. And she's really cool, down to earth, so nice, really respectful. Like, oh my God, I loved it. So
What
yeah.
what a moment, what an icon for the sport. This has been an incredible opportunity for you to be involved in college sports on a daily basis, doing so at a high level. When this internship wraps up, what's ahead for you? Where do you want this to take you?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out right yeah, I would love to stay at the NCAA, obviously. And I just want to keep creating those memorable experiences for others. As a student athlete, I was so fortunate to be part of a lot of things that the NCAA has done for me, and just being international, like like getting my education paid for. Like I got 2 degrees in 5 years, paid for, no debt. Like that's because of Hofstra and the NCAA. So that's a blessing. But just being able to create those memorable experiences, right? Even like me being able to attend the current sports forum, like how can we get more student athletes to get there and like have those experiences so they can be impacted as well. So that's what I'm trying to do. So don't know where my next step is going to be, trying to figure it out. But as long as I'm creating memorable experiences for others, I'm going to be happy.
Because their office is what, Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
What's life in Indy like? What's it like for the nights of the NCAA interns at the town?
So I actually live like 5 minutes away from the office. I live downtown, so there's a lot to do, especially in the summer. And Indy is a sports hub, so we got like the Colts right there. We got the Fever, the Pacers right next to us. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of parks that you could go. Not downtown, though. You have to drive far away to
Yeah.
go to the park. But downtown, there's a lot of like restaurants, activities, concerts, anything. You can literally find anything in Indy. Yeah.
We got a few quick hitters to fire at you before we let you get back to, another awesome week working for them. I think you've talked about this in some of your old WRGU interviews. Favorite basketball movie?
Ooh, I have to go with Glory Road.
Like the
Yeah.
choice. Like the choice. There's plenty of these, especially in the CAA, going up and down on bus trips. What is your favorite basketball travel story?
Oh my God. That's a really good question. I have so many. I have to say Charleston. Every time we traveled to Charleston, we had such a good time. Like the weather was just like, oh, finally some sun. Um, but it was just good. And like UNCW as well, like the hotel that we stayed at, amazing, like on the beach, like it was so good. And yeah, I think that would be those two.
Those must be the ones to look forward to, right? Like January, get out of the cold for a little bit, go warm up. Gosh, I still think about us trying to get down to like the CAA tournament in 22, and our first bus didn't show up, and we
Oh,
had to wait for another bus. We come down, and we come rolling into the team hotel at like 10 o'clock, and I remember seeing a few of the coaches like, Time is it? Like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Whether it was in the stadium, in your headphones, you're getting ready for a game. What's your pregame go-tos on your playlist?
Ooh, I have to go with gospel music. I can't listen to like upbeat songs. No, it has to be like calm, like because if I start, because I'm really a calm, collected person, even on the court, like you're never gonna see me like yelling or whatever.
Mhm.
So I just have to be in that state of mind, like just being calm, cool, and collected. So gospel music really helps me to just lock in. But if I need to like turn it up a notch, nah, Rod Wave. I love Rod Wave.
Nice.
That's my guy, yeah.
If I'm gonna say when you get back on the mic because I think everyone wants to see that. Who's your dream broadcast partner? Who would you love to call a game with?
Oh my God. Okay, I have to go with Andrea Carter.
Nice.
She is my all-time favorite broadcaster. Like she is such a good one. Just because like she's played the game at Tennessee and then she has that basketball mindset and you can see it every time she's on TV and she talks about it. So I feel like getting to work with her would be amazing.
Last one I have for you, awesome pick there. Fantastic broadcast pick. The last two we have for you. NBA playoffs are about to start. WNBA just had the draft the other day. They'll have a season start coming up. Who is winning the NBA finals, and then who's taking it home, later this year in the WNBA?
Oh, NBA Finals. Well, the Toronto Raptors did not make it, so I can't go with them. I'm gonna have to go with the Pacers. You know, I'm gonna have to go with the Pacers. Benedict Mathurin plays for the Pacers, and he's from Montreal, so I have to root for my guy. WNBA, that's a hard one now. That's a hard one. I'm gonna have to go with the Dallas Wings.
So
Yep.
good year for Paige then, taking every title.
Oh yeah, she deserves every single one of them. I have to go with the Dallas Wings. And they have some really good picks. They have a really good team. Yeah, I believe in them.
Love it, love it. And we get to check on the Pacers pick. They're right on the doorstep in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. We get to check on that in 2 months, and then circle back when the fall comes around and see how your WNBA pick does too. Sorelle, this has been so great to catch up again. Again, congrats on everything you're doing with the NCAA. Know that the future is as bright as anybody's, and thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.